attacking you. The people of Staten Island stood with you. And now you stand against the people of Staten Island? How do you look at yourself in the mirror? And where's your swagger man with no plan, Eric Adams, who was a house mouse for 22 years, never in the streets, never. Tell him to come out here. Wow. Tell the mayor to come out here. Where's the mayor?
Hey guys,
He probably can't find Staten Island. He needs a GPS.
My family's all military. There's a lot of military that are out in the streets, and they're putting migrants in homes.
This isn't Staten Island's only shelter. Tuesday night, things got heated as tensions boiled over. New Yorkers telling us they are at their breaking point, especially when it comes to kids in schools.
I feel bad for the migrant children. They're innocent, you know, but our kids are going to suffer.
Mayor Adams says he's considering shortening the length of the shelter stay for single adult migrants from 60 days to 30. As for the vaccinations, all kids must be up to date for school, but they don't need to submit their immunization records to apply.
Just a sad situation. It's not nothing about them. It's about the way they came in and about what is not being done for the people that live here.
Look, I have nothing against these people. I don't know them. I feel for them. But take care of our own first.
we have a system here. Everybody is welcome. I come from immigrants. Everybody in this crowd comes from immigrants. But we came here through a system, and the system is busted really bad. It's really bad. And it starts with our mayor, who welcomed them in because it's a sanctuary city. All these sanctuary city enthusiasts are not so enthusiastic anymore, okay? This is insane. We have a system. And everybody who's crying, where's the humanity? Where's the Christianity? Where's the humanity and Christianity at the border? For the little kids that are drowning in a river, crossing a river, or the fentanyl deaths across this country. Where's the Christianity and humanity for that? I'm tired of hearing people saying that we're not humanitarians and Christian. This is bull, and it's going to stop. And Staten Island is the ground zero that is going to make it stop, because we're going to be out in the street every night, peacefully, because that's what Big Brother notices, and that's how things change. So America, get out in the street and do what we're doing. They will
Scott,
change
let
their
me just
minds
ask you,
because they're not used to seeing working people in the street.
I think you're right.
Well, the outrage continues on Staten Island. The the bastard borough that they treat so badly. You know, they're just throwing everything at the borough. You know, they want to throw, you know, illegal migrants out here. They basically taking away a lot of our funding to run the particular city. You know, we have roadways that need to be expanded, and still no money has been given to start or complete these projects. Schools, nursing homes being taken over to be used as illegal migrant shelters, whereas we do have a large homeless population, especially out here. You know, take a trip to our emergency rooms, because some of them end up in our emergency rooms on Staten Island. I've seen this myself. People with mental issues that are throughout the city. I mean, I remember one time, guy that was in an emergency room the same time I was, ended up killing a pigeon at the Staten Island ferry about several months later. And he was released by the hospital. But now we got the Midland Beach residents are totally outraged. And of course, the police commissioner and our unfaithful Mayor Adams, has sent the police against these residents, arresting some of them. You know, they're calling them unruly protesters. They're peaceful protesters. Yeah, they're screaming, but they're still peaceful. Didn't have that same structure when Antifa, Black Bloc, and BLM attacked Manhattan. All those shoplifters that destroyed the stores on Fifth Avenue and other places. Where were they then? Nowhere, because they're told to stand down. Of course, Staten Islanders are going to be outraged. Of course they are. But we're getting to a point, the powder keg may go off. And who knows what will happen next.
When everything breaks at the seams, and you feel like you're losing belief. And damn it, you just gotta stay strong. When it all falls apart and goes wrong. When you feel let down and so lost. And it feels like you can't hold on. Well, damn it, you just gotta stay strong. 'Cause sometimes things go wrong. And one day everything's gone. But you can make it out and move on. So damn it, you just gotta stay strong.
From the New York Post, outraged protesters block bus carrying migrants on Staten Island. You are not welcomed. Outraged Staten Island residents took to the streets Tuesday night to physically block the arrival of an MTA bus carrying asylum seekers to a newly converted shelter, a move that Mayor Eric Adams called ugly, as even over 100,000 migrants have been shipped to the Big Apple since last year. The group of unruly protesters, captured on video, wailing and banging on the sides of the bus, halted traffic. Well, actually, we didn't really see that. Halted traffic just before 10 p.m. and intercepted the bus, which was headed to the former Island Shores Senior Assisted Living Facility. Police said 10 people were taken into custody, with 9 being issued summonses for disorderly conduct. A 48-year-old man, identified as Vadim Belyakov, was charged with for allegedly assaulting an officer who was trying to make an arrest. One video taken from some of the protesters outside the facility at Father Capodanno Boulevard and Midland Avenue, showing people whistling and screaming, "You're not welcome, you are illegal." Other videos showed demonstrators carrying signs chanting "USA, USA, USA," while a man with a megaphone denounces the migrants' arrival. No physical altercations were reported with any migrant or bus personnel, police said. Adams addressed the chaotic demonstration. It wasn't chaotic, it was peaceful, New York Post. During the morning TV appearances, coinciding to New York One, that the ugly display put on a very small group of New Yorkers should not represent the city's residents as a whole. No, actually, it should. It should. We have 8.3 million New Yorkers, so if the numerical minority decide to use hateful terms and hateful words, that is not a reflection of who the city is, the mayor later told Fox 5. See, here's the thing. They're saying hateful rhetoric. What hateful rhetoric? These people are here illegally. They're being told to go home. There's nothing wrong with coming here properly. And we have, let me tell you something. Here's the thing that they don't talk about. We already have a good percentage of illegal migrants in Staten Island and have been for many years. A lot of them live on Port Richmond. Now, some of them came here legally. A friend of mine, her husband, waited more than 10 years to get his citizenship, and he came legally. He was working, he did it, he never got in trouble, stayed on the right side and everything like that, but yet he was skipped over for many years. So illegal people came over illegally could be processed through. How is that fair? Because those people who are here legally have paid lawyers to get them through. There are agencies here in Staten Island. There are small groups out there that do help people try to process their paperwork through. But yet they've been delayed after delay after delay because someone keeps skipping over them. Over 10 years. Shouldn't have taken that long. And when they said 8.3, we're over 400,000 here on Staten Island. So we don't matter because we're the lower of the... We have the same population as many other cities throughout the U.S. Just because we're not in Manhattan doesn't mean we don't have a voice to the situation. Let's read on a little bit more on this. I'm very clear of the frustration and anger, and New Yorkers have expressed that, but they're not banging out on doors of buses. They're not spewing hateful words toward ethnic groups. Incorrect. There are those. Queens have had their protests as well. And there have been in Manhattan as well. There have been protests. If you remember, AOC and a lot of other Democrats, they were shouted down.
That is part of the strain on our public systems. The faster that folks can access the work that they're asking for legally, the better we can solve this problem. And the third is extension of temporary protected status for Venezuelans who are...
By a group of protesters. And I have to say, those who believe to use violence by throwing bottles at police officers and migrants, we have not had reports of that. We're not going to accept that, Adams continued. We'll manage the crisis, but we're not going to do it with violence. There were no bottles being thrown. If someone got out of hand, okay, yeah, there's situations of that. But there are people who are very angered out there. Also, remember this. Blue Lives Matter. Guess where it started? It started in Staten Island. Staten Island was one of the forefront that backed the police. Remember that. There was a point that they tried to shut down a bar restaurant. NYPD refused to do that. And what did they do? They sent in the state marshals because they knew it was wrong. NYPD, you need to stand back and tell your chief leaders and give a message to Mayor Adams. We're not going to be doing this. We're not going to be enforcing these situations. These people have a right to protest. The area has been shut down now in Midland. It's been completely closed off. Let's read on a little bit more. Adams noted that the NYPD handled those small numbers of people who were acting disorderly. But one protester, Sal Mafroni, who lives 200 feet from the shelter, insisted that the post the demonstration was peaceful until the cops arrived and turned the scene into a riot. And that's what happened. The cops literally, and if you've not seen the videos yet, there's some by LYNCA. They're on YouTube. You can find them. They're generally driving always around New York City. Get their press, and they sell a lot of stuff to the mainstream media. People were getting arrested for no reason. The 10 people that got arrested last night should have not gotten arrested, the retired construction worker, 59, said Wednesday. My daughter was holding my 5-year-old grandson last night, and one cop was pushing her, and I had to step in between. It got a little hectic, he added. Monteforte wasn't arrested, accusing the mayor of ordering the cops to round up the demonstrators. Curtis Sliwa had said this as well that night and the next day. Last night, there were more than 200 officers. There were more police than protesters. It was an overstep by the mayor giving orders like this, he said. And that's correct. 200 police officers for a small group of neighborhood protesters. These are people who live in the neighborhood. The shame is what we know that the police that are here, they are local police officers. We have good relationships with them. We back them more than anyone. The latest migrant protest comes as city officials weigh in to change how long a single adult asylum seekers can stay in the Big Apple shelters from 60 days to 30. While Governor Kathy Hochul met with President Biden on Tuesday during his trip to the Big Apple for the UN General Assembly this week, apparently discussions on the migrant crisis, Adams had not met with the president. Of course not. Biden doesn't care. When asked what would he tell Biden if he had met next week, Adams told New York One he is not the one to be quiet about what he feels New York City should be doing. Well, then you shouldn't be mayor. Exactly. You should be protecting the constituents in all 5 boroughs. We need a decompression strategy. No, we don't. We need to start to gather these people up and get them out of here. We need to properly fund this national crisis by calling it a state of emergency, and we need to allow asylum seekers to work. No, we don't. No, we don't. Because the reports we're getting, most of the people that have tried to apply for this has been at least 2%. Most of these people will work under the table, and a lot of these places will pay them. We've already heard this. Adams said, adding that he feels it's wrong for New Yorkers to be responsible for what he said could be a $12 billion tab over the next 3 years. Some Staten Island residents also opposed the arrival of migrants at St. John's Villa Academy, a former Catholic high school in the Anorak neighborhood, late last month. There's still protests there. At least 400 protesters rallied outside the shuttered school, which has been transformed into a 300-bed makeshift shelter as residents seething over what they described as a ceremonial dumping of unvetted migrants in their neighborhood. As you could see, the media has thrown in that basically, yeah, we've been violent, super violent, throwing bottles and stuff. No one has done that. No one has done that. Not in any of the footage or anyone that I've heard that's been there. You know, you have situations there that basically people are upset. You're putting unvetted illegal migrants into a neighborhood where there's women and children in those neighborhoods. And we've heard situations of this in the past. Ask the Germans, ask the UK, ask the French, ask the Italians. They will tell you no good will come of this. See, here's how I would handle it. First off the bat, any single male that has come across, no family, nothing to that nature, should be sent back. Especially those that are not local, and we're talking across the Mexican border. If they are from the Middle East or from Africa, they should be packed up and sent back. Because they came here under the assumption, and they were told to come here. That's the thing that they don't tell you. We've already heard this back about a year or two ago, that basically there were radio stations in Central America telling people to come to the U.S., that you would get a better life in the U.S.
By radio. You listen to your radio on your way to work, on your way to the grocery store. And that country's advertising. If you want the American dream, we'll help you out. And we'll help you, we'll teach you how to get it in the United States.
There are groups out there telling people to come here. Telling what to say when they come across that border. We already know that there are terrorists that have, and this is according to our own government, that have crossed across that Mexican border, and we don't know where they are. Think about that for a minute, folks. Think about that. How many drug dealers, how many drug cartel agents, how many Chinese agents have crossed that border? The other half, getting back to the situation for those who are here, those who are families, they must, and this is how we filter it out, those who basically can prove properly that they've been married for quite some time, that it's their own children, which DNA check should be done. We will give them a chance to apply, but they will be sent to the back of the line. And when they come forward, they will be penalized with a fee. Understand that. And the reason for that is that they tried to jump ahead. Now, I understand if there may be some families that are trying to get away from something to that nature, but they could have gone to an embassy. And remember this, okay? Think about this for a minute. Those who came across that were not Mexican, technically under the old rule, that got to Mexico, they were safe there as far as what the law situated. If they wanted to move forward, they could have gone to the embassy and got the paperwork on there. Same thing with the Africans, same thing with the Chinese, same thing with the India, Middle Easterns, North Koreans. They have come across there. They should have been stopped at wherever they flew into. For example, if they flew into Brazil, that should have been their cutoff right there. They made it to another country. Why move all the way up the pipe into the United States? Because that's where they're pushing them to. Our politicians are doing this because they're going to use them. Guess for what? They're going to use them for labor, and they're using them for votes. Plain and simple. For those of you sitting back listening to this, when it comes around to voting, know who you're voting for. Now, people will say, well, all you people in New York, you all vote for Democrats. No. Come out to Staten Island. I'll show you how many Democrats are out here versus Republicans and Libertarians. Because basically, when you look at the scoreboard, when it comes to voting, the Liberals lose out every time on Staten Island. But like I said, that's what I would do. Because a lot of these guys, these people that have come here are mostly men. Remember that. Think of that perspective. Most of them are men. As much as they film in front of you that they have women and children, they will find every time on camera a family or a woman and child that have come across. But look at the video footage. Look at the Roosevelt Hotel, the lineup of all the men that are on there. Look at that. And remember, but who am I to say but a man with a show?
Thanks for watching. Before you go, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share this video. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe as it helps us increase the reach of our channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help fund this and many other channels. If you wish to help grow this channel by financial support, you have two ways. There are two links below. One link will send you to a direct pay site where you can make a donation. The second link will send you to our gear store where you can purchase t-shirts, mugs, and other specialty items. Any additional discounts will be listed on the main page. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.